Alright, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to clip the corners of panels that are being overlapped by emblems. In this case we have a SERP top panel here with a cross and rows emblem, and the very corner of this panel jets out here and we want to remove that. Before I start, I want to let you know of two assumptions that I'm working under. Number one is that this is necessary. If I go to the wireframe view by doing a Shift V, we do see that the panel lines are in fact running behind this emblem. Had this emblem been welded already and combined with this piece, you would not see these lines behind here. And if that were the case, we would have to do something different entirely. The second assumption is that everything is ungrouped. So I'm going to do a select all by double clicking on the pick tool and hitting the ungroup all button here on the toolbar, or you can come to the arrange menu and access that as well. The reason I ungroup that is because all colored pieces here are made of two separate items. I'm going to fill this panel line or this frosted part blue to show you. We have the blue or frosted part and we have the outside line or the hard line, and they are two separate shapes, two separate objects. Clip art works the same way. We have the frosted part and we have the hard line part. If I go again to the wireframe view, they are just lines, but they are filled different colors, and when they are laid on top of each other they look as if they are one piece, although they are not. I'm going to back up and get this to where we were originally. The reason I point that out is as we erase this, we are going to have to erase both objects and not just one. The tool that we use is the eraser tool. It is found below the crop tool in the flyout here at the bottom. Looks just like a pencil eraser. If we try to use it without having anything selected, it will return an error saying that we must select something. So I'm going to get my pick tool here, select the frosted part of this panel, and get the eraser tool. Now as I start erasing this, I'm just clicking and dragging. You'll see that it appears as though I am erasing the cross and the rows. However, since that item is not selected, it will not be erased. And once I let go of the button, you'll see it reappears. Now if I go to my wireframe view again, you'll see what exactly this eraser tool did. It just took that line and it cut it to the outside of my eraser part. Now what I have to do is select the black line or the hard line and do the same thing. Again, grab my eraser tool and erase that part. So long as my selection here on the eraser stays within the cross, I can go as far or as little as I want to do. Again, going to the wireframe view, you can see what that did. None of it's very pretty, but in the end, once it gets all welded before we cut our stencil, it won't matter. If I were to go too far, you would see what would happen. I'm going to grab this and erase too far. I'm either going to get too much black because of the hard line that's behind it, or if I go too far on the hard line as well, I'm going to end up seeing some polish that is behind both of those pieces. So those would be problems for us, but as it stands right here, this would not be an issue. We would repeat the same step here on the other side. One quick trick I can teach you is that the space bar you can use to flip back between your last tool that was used. So I'm here on the eraser tool, I can hit the space bar, it will take me back to my pick tool. I can click on this object, again hit the space bar one more time, takes me back to the eraser tool. So you can do that pretty quickly and have that visually set up to where those panel lines are no longer sticking out. Now I have another example over here that has a horse on it. Same issue here, we've got the panel lines running beneath the horse's legs. I've got everything ungrouped already, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to select the frosted part of a panel, grab my eraser tool, and I'm going to erase just this part inside the middle part of his body. And again, so long as the edge of my selection here remains within that horse leg, everything will look fine. Switch back, grab the black part, switch back, and erase that. Now we could look at that and say, well, okay, that's fine, but let me get rid of this line in here as well. We use the same process. You can do this as many times as you need to, so long as you've got something to erase. If you go too far, you need to undo and back out of it and then try it again. So there we have all the panel lines once it hits the first leg removed, and you can see now through the horse's legs. Here's another example with these rings. You can see that currently the rings here in this area is frosted, and I'll show you that this is actually a separate object currently, and that was because we wanted to add this date here to the rings. Let's say I wanted to look through those rings and have that be polished. First thing I would do is combine this inside part of the rings with the outside of the hard line. I'm going to hit C on my keyboard to combine those, and you'll see that we are looking through the rings now, and of course we have those panel lines, and that's the part we want to get rid of. So once again, I'm going to click on the frosted part of my panel, grab my eraser tool, and I'm going to erase all of this here. Again, making sure that the outside of this selection stays within the ring part. And I've got everything black. Click back. Now we're going to do the same thing to the hard line, or the black part. And there we are looking through the rings, and we can see the polish of the stone. Again, from a technical standpoint, it doesn't look pretty, but once it's all welded together, it will look just perfect. Alright, so what happens when the family changes their mind? They decide, well, we don't want those rings there after all. If you're sitting here with the family and you've still got the design open and haven't closed it, you can always use your undo button and Control Z. You can get back to its original state and delete it. However, if they decide a week later that they've talked it over and decided that it's gone, then you've got a different scenario because you saved it and closed it, and now your undos are not available. So let's say in this case I cannot undo it and get back to where this horse has gone. On rectangular panels, here's the easiest way to get rid of that, and it's basically to start over to some degree. I'm going to make sure my snap to objects is turned on in the view menu, and in this case it is turned on. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool here, and I'm going to snap from the inside part of the frosted panel to the other inside part here of two corners on the panel that have not been erased. I am then going to delete my original panel here by selecting both the frosted part and then the hard line, and that leaves me with this rectangle. I simply need to run my panel script again, and that will recreate my panel. I can then select the individual pieces, then move them to the front using Alt F. I'm going to grab my text here as well. And now I am back to where I started with my horse, and I can get rid of those rings or put something else there instead. Okay, so what about a SERP top panel? If we take that original one that we were looking at, I'm going to switch and pull up another version of that. In this version, this emblem has been welded already to the panel. You don't see any lines here. So this is all one object now. I can fill it blue, and you can see that the panel and the rose and cross are now all one object. One option I have is I could break everything apart, pull this out here, recontour it, and have my emblem back again. However, from experience I can tell you that this particular emblem, because of the leaves and certain parts of it, it's not going to contour very well. It's going to require some hand tooling to get some of those nodes to work right. So in this case I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to click on my frosted part. I'm going to select that. I'm going to hold down shift and select the hard line of the black part behind it. Show that we got two objects selected. I'm going to combine that by hitting C, and now I have both of those objects combined together. Once again, using my eraser tool, what I'm going to try to do is separate these panel lines from my clip art, thus preserving the outline of my emblem. And this does not have to be perfect. It's very difficult to get it so we will do a little bit of adjusting here in a second. Now that I have that completely separate, I'm going to break it apart by hitting B. I can go ahead and delete some of the stuff that I won't need over here. I'm going to go to my wireframe view now and do some manual tweaking here. You see my eraser added in a bunch of nodes here. The best way to get rid of unruly nodes or to fix them is just to delete them. If you keep a good starting node and ending node, you can usually come out all right. And then just manually tweak where you need to get the curve to bend properly. Zoom up. The same thing over here. In this case, I'm going to add a node there, and then use my lasso tool holding down the Alt key. I'm going to select all those nodes and get rid of them, bend it back, and that's good. In this case, this one I want to bring back up into here. Once again, add, that creates the curve. Here I can delete that one. On the line, create it to curve, and bend it back. So now if I combine this all back together, you'll see that I have my single clip art object again. I'm going to select it, hit the F key to frost it. Select everything again, hit the M key to mirror it on the other side, and I've got my emblems back with their original hard line. So I didn't have to tweak that at all. Now to get my panel again, before I had 1.5 inches polished margin here, or polished border. So I'm going to use the contour button. I'm going to come to the inside, and of course you add 0.43 to your polish margin to get to your inside line. So I'm going to have a 0.93. Hit apply. I'm going to break that apart using the B once again. Here's my inside line. I'm going to run my double line script again, and here I am back to my panel. We zoom back out here, and now we have our original design, where we can now either remove or move our emblems as we wish, as if we had never welded them to begin with.